Welcome to the Doctrine of Happiness. I am Natasha on a global journey to uncover what it really means to live in happiness, empowerment, and authenticity across all areas of life, both in business and private moments. From vibrant cities to remote sanctuary, I'm meeting people from diverse backgrounds to explore how culture, beliefs, spirituality, gender diversity, and even sexuality shape their understanding of fulfillment and happiness. Together, we dive into the thought form and values that drive their choices, sharing stories and challenge, inspire, and uplift. With the help of a groundbreaking algorithm, we will relieve not only the happiness people are aware of, but also the hidden pieces in their blind spot. This journey goes beyond the surface to reveal the truth that connect us all. Join me as we redefine happiness, fulfillment across cultures and lives. So welcome to Doctrine of Happiness. I traveled for 2 days ago from Pokhara. Now I am in Mustang, a fantastic place you have to come here and experience by yourself. I don't think I can capture what is around here. And anyhow, I have two interesting people sitting. Our guide, would you present yourself?
Namaste. Asim. Guide. I work with Nadi Experiences. I organize indigenous experience around Nepal, primarily here in Mustang. Yeah, that's me.
And we got contact to Asim for a couple of weeks ago, and we told him about our project. And he told us that he's doing a very special concept here in your family city. Not a blood family city, but the family, it's your heart city.
Yeah.
And you asked us to come, and now it was like, yeah, fantastic. We are going to go with you. And you have a very special guest sitting beside you. Can you?
Namaste.
Tukche.
His name is Nagendra. He's from here in Tukche. He is our local expert. He's been living here since he was age 12. He's
where do you come from?
Gargara Paila Puran. A neighboring neighboring district, Magdi.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what is so special about Tukche?
Tukcheको सबभन्दा स्पेशल कुरा के लाग्यो दाइ म्याग्दीबाट आएको मान्छेलाई?
सबभन्दा स्पेशल कुरा थकाली कुरा नै थकाली खाना थकाली कुरा यही नै राम्रो लाग्यो
अनि के चिज चाहिँ टुकुचीमा राखेको त?
मलाई अब आफ्नो कर्म भनौँ न कर्मले भन्नु पर्यो हैन यही सानैदेखि आइयो सानैदेखि यही बिहा भयो यही हुर्कियो यही भयो अब नागरिक सबै हिन्दुस्तान मात्रै भयो
यही ठाउँ आफ्नो लाग्छ
आफ्नो लाग्छ.
Yeah, he came here when he was 12, and this place is home to him. He loves Thakali culture, Thakali food. It feels like he has a sense of belonging here.
Yeah.
He got married. He's got kids. He's been living here for a long time. Yeah.
So you said Thakali. Can you explain?
So Thakali are the indigenous people who live here in the bank of Kali Gandaki for hundreds of years. The other name of Kali Gandaki is Thak Khola. So hence the people who live around is known after the river Thak Kali. Yeah.
So what is your story? What's the true story behind you as a person?
दाइको कथा रे यसो टुच्च सानोदेखि
म सानो छँदा अब म 12 वर्ष उमेरमा घर छोडेर आएको.
So we had to change places because there was a lot of people in the kitchen and they were having a very happy time making dinner for us. You found a very nice place and very Nepalian.
Very Thakali.
Very Thakali, sorry. I have to get used to that. It's different when you're in Mustang. So I know that you're going to take us to the mountains in 2 days. We are going to sleep in tent, and that is your playground.
तपाईँ अब हामीलाई लिएर माथि याक खर्कतिर जाने रे त्यो तपाईको खेल मैदान जत्तिकै हो रे त
9 जति नै हो ठुलो एकदम ठुलो छ
You can see your eyes just.
तपाईँलाई
Yeah.
तपाईँलाई धेरै मनपर्छ होइन याकहरूको
एकदम मनपर्छ धेरै मन
He really likes the place, yeah.
Yeah.
सानोदेखि त्यहीँ खेलेको त्यहीँ हुर्केको
He was pretty much raised in this in pasture lands up in the high mountains.
High mountains. So how long have you been staying in high mountains?
15-16 वर्ष बसेन
About last, and he's 16, 17 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
17 years living in the mountains.
Yeah, with the yaks.
With the yaks.
Yeah.
Wow.
याकसँगै
What did you say?
No, just with the yaks.
Yaks,
just
ah.
confirm.
So what was the reason? What was the drive behind it?
त्यसमा मलाई रहर थियो हैन पैसा पनि
Yeah, so it was initially it started that he was young and he was some money, he saw some job opportunity, but then as soon as he got there he realized that this is his place, he thrives there, he belongs there. So even after working for 17 years he still thinks that he could go back and spend the rest of his life in those pastures.
Wow.
He still wants to do it at some point.
So what was the nature? What was the animals, or it was what was?
Mountains. That's what he said.
It's a mountains. Yeah. So they speak in somehow, or when I go somewhere, if I really connect to the place, it has a language.
Yeah. So for him, the yaks were sort of like a part of the furniture. They were always there, so there's a connection towards them. And he used to get really angry when leopards come and take the baby and the calves away and things. But then he realized that he also likes leopards when he sees them, the other wildlife, the birds and deer, the musk deer, other kind of spotted deers, like whatever So generally all nature in the mountains and that allowed him to understand them. I think that's what he appreciates.
So there's the language of the animals and the mountains.
Yeah.
Oh wow, that makes him happy, or
yeah. तिमीले लास्टै खुसी
एकदम खुसी अहिले पनि खुसी छु जाँदा
You can see he's smiling.
So that's what really makes him happy. That I think that sense of belonging, sense of understanding, like they understand each other.
Yeah. So it's like if you have a family, you belong to that family. It can make you happy for some people, most of us.
Mm-hmm.
So for him, I know because I saw him with his family that he of course has a belonging to his family, but it's like he has another belonging to nature as well that makes him happy.
के भन्दैछ भने हैन परिवारसँग हुँदा तपाईं एकदम खुसी थिए. So what he says is because it's his second home, so his home is home, but every time if he doesn't have a work in home, he's not doing anything, he gets itchy feet and he just runs out and goes to the mountains. Even today, after he had to come back, he left early to come back to home because he had some work. But as soon as he left home, he saw that we're busy in the day and we're not going for a walk. So he got itchy feet, and then he was told about another cave somewhere up there. So he just went to see if he can find those caves.
Oh, really? Wow. But did you find it?
No.
No?
No, he says there was a landslide that he couldn't go past.
Oh, wow. That's nice. So when you're in life, we all meet some challenges. Life goes up and it goes down. When you meet some challenges, how do you find the happiness to overcome the challenges in life? What is the calling? What is the strength that you find?
Okay. So what he says is, let me try to sort of put it all together. Well, there's multiple different aspects to being, going through hard times. If like generally in household, he have people around him, he can talk to them, and that brings some strength. And then collectiveness is very important. And he talks to his wife, he thinks about his kids, And he says also his life is very simple. he likes being in the mountains, and he'd like to continue being in the mountain and the forest with the nature. And he is, concerned about his children's future. He would continue to do as much to give them good education that he's been trying, and hopefully that he'll be able to make them independent on their own. And then a lot of thing about him is it's his understanding with nature that allows him to prepare. He knows that nature is not not necessarily a safe place all the time, but he has respect towards the nature, and that's how he thinks nature respects him. So he kind of prepares for things, and he thinks life works in a similar way. You have a strength around it, you have a collectiveness, you have other people that you share things with, and then you prepare for bad things with that collectiveness.
So the way he managed challenges in life is the way he managed in the nature.
Yeah. Yeah, so all what did he learn? What does he learn from the mountains? For him, interpreting on what he just said is he learns. His mountain has given him skills. He had to learn to be alone in pasture land. He had to learn to cook. He apparently cooks better than his wife now because he had to learn how to cook.
We can confirm that.
He had to learn how to cook. He had to learn how to look after himself. He had to learn to be alone, and that has given him a lot of strength in his life. Nature has given him a lot of strength. He kind of what he's trying to say, I think, is he learned to coexist with nature.
Yeah,
and nature is everywhere, so everything is his place. Also, and he has immense respect to the pasture lands because they enabled him to have a life that he would have dreamed of, a family that that the income from that enabled for him to send his kids for education that he couldn't have. So I think for him, I think it's not a more of a holistic experience from what I can hear. For him, life experiences is down to what he learned in terms of survival, what he learned in terms of skills, and how that allowed him to coexist with the nature. And I think it's very sort of give and take.
And that he used when he is at home with the family.
Yeah.
And he used that skills in the survival with nature.
Yeah.
To solve whatever it is, it will come up in life, through a life on our way. That's the way he manages. So that's beautiful. So he find happiness in private life, in family, and in nature, by nature.
Yeah.
Is it true?
So I think अनि उसले के भन्दैछ भने सो उसले कुरा सुन्दा चाहिँ कस्तो लाग्यो सबै एक्लै
Can you remember all that?
Yeah.
Wow. I like to look at your guys' faces. I know the podcast is listener, they can't see it, but you look so impressionist.
So his because the experiences he had to have, most of them were not choice in the mountains, and he had to learn those things, and that had made him so strong that he's not worried about anything. He feels like whatever comes in life, he'd be able to deal with it. Because the amount of array of skills that he was able to accumulate, primary to ensure his survival up there in the hills, not just his survival, but the survival of the animals as well. The yaks, very free-spirited creatures. One thing what he says is he's always been happy up there, and he's always had a lot of energy, and that he brings that energy home in the village, and he's always very proactive in things, and old people used to look at him and say, yeah, whatever, when you get to 40 you'll realize. And then he turned 40 and he couldn't feel it, so he wasn't sure if he was doing something wrong. And then someone said, you'll turn 50 one day and you'll realize you get old and you have no energy and you have no what's the right word, you'll start fearing things a lot more. and then he's now turning 50 and he still hasn't shelter. And he thinks it's because he's resilient, because he, looks at the nature and listens to the nature. And that's for him is like what makes him, what gives him all the strength that he needs.
The funny thing is, when we live in Denmark, what we are afraid of when we go out, it's just totally different things, because you talk about leopard and we think about, okay, car driving by too fast, or some neighbors, they have a norms of they will cut your, I don't know, grass, or doing something illegal, or it's just different kind of, worrying and problems, or what you will call it. And he's living in a wilderness that we have forgotten where we come from. And that gives him the strength that we really miss. That's the reason we are here somehow, trying to figure out why. Because I know you told us yesterday that you and your wife never, you're not sick. You don't need a doctor when I ask, what about doctors or healers around here? So it's like the nature is a part of your life that makes you happy. It's what I hear from the translation.
उसले चाहिँ के भन्छ भने धेरै कुरा भने उसलाई चाहिँ अचम्म लाग्छ. Okay, I'll translate all that. So the first question was around the connection to nature and what makes him happy, and about like you said, like they haven't been sick. Is this the place? What is it? So what he says is it's probably, he's not, what he says it's probably because he, there's two things in his life that he cannot change, and one is what's written for him and by whoever wrote it. It's his faith and his fate, and another is the nature, and you just have to learn to coexist with both of those things. If it's written for you, if it's meant to happen, it'll happen.
What is foreseen before he reincarnate here, or
not just necessarily. I think in our culture, what we often say is when you come here as a human being, there are things written for you.
Yeah.
And there's no point of forcing change.
No.
You just accept what's given.
It's a lifeline.
Yeah.
And it's the story.
Yeah. It's what's given by whoever's given it. It's not necessarily God, it's just whoever's given it. We call it bhagya, which means like a fate.
Yeah.
So you accept your fate and you move on. And another thing you can't change it. And another thing you cannot change is the nature around you. And there's no point of forcing it. So you have to learn to be with it. So if you learn to be with your fate and in your nature, you only become stronger. He's barely been sick in his life. Touch wood. And then when he gets a bit of a, cold or something, he knows enough things around his surrounding that will fix him.
Yeah.
He doesn't need to go to a doctor.
Nature and medicine.
Yeah. He remembered his, he was remembering his childhood. He had barely seen sugar, for example, here in Tukche. The processed food like the noodles, biscuits, none of these were here. No cakes, no bakery.
Yeah.
So I think because he had to live with what was here in the nature in this place, that's what makes him strong and healthy till today.
Yeah.
And he doesn't think that his kids will have the same amount of health and happiness growing up, because they do a lot of things that's not natural.
Yeah.
To the place and to themselves. And I cheekily asked a question in that, saying, where do you guys go find your happiness? If people in Denmark are not happy, where do they think he thinks they should go? And he first said, maybe they should all come to Tukche.
That I will totally recommend.
And then he said, but then there must be places like Tukche in Denmark where people feel a sense of belongings, where there's nature. And I think it's so maybe maybe we all have to find our Tukches in our lives, I guess.
Yeah.
So that's what he was referring to.
Yeah, Denmark is a very beautiful place. We have very beautiful forest and beautiful nature, beaches and so there's a lot of Tukche around Denmark for people.
डेनमार्कमा पनि छ अरे राम्रो राम्रो ठाउँ छ अरे बस्ने ठाउँ छ अरे छ नि त हैन
The question if people have the time to connect with it and use it as you use it.
उनीहरूसँग चाहिँ समय नै छैन अरे क्या बिहान उठ्यो अब खाने बित्तिकै काममा जानु पर्यो काममा दुई दिन अफिसमा बस्छ हो
Because you have it like your lifestyle. This is the way of living for you. And for us, we have another lifestyle and nature is a secondary.
यहाँ चाहिँ अब तपाईँको जीवन नै प्रकृतिसँग गयो तपाईँ काम भन्ने केही प्रकृतिमा उसको चाहिँ प्रकृति भनेको चाहिँ फुर्सद भएपछि मात्रै जाने ठाउँ अरे क्या
Not for all of us. I can't talk for every Danish people, but most of us is too busy for everyday things, for earning some money and work and
पैसा.
So we are not that connected to nature. So a lot of people, they are very sick and unhealthy, but everybody trying to eat healthier, not eating sugar and processed food. And they are actually we are trying a lot in Denmark. They are very conscious. We are conscious people around that part, but I don't think that we are that conscious about nature as you are.
उनीहरू अब प्रयास चाहिँ गर्छन् रे तर अब सुपरमार्केटबाट किन्नु पर्यो खानु पर्यो हैन प्रयासै गर्यो भने स्वस्थ खाना पनि त्यहीँबाट किन्नु पर्यो बाहिर त छैन बिहानदेखि बेलुकासम्म अफिस आएर काम गर्नु पर्यो पैसा मात्रै आउँछ पैसा आए पनि जिन्दगी खुसी छैन सबै दुखी छन् सबै रोगी छन् धेरै रोगी छन् भन्छ.
So another question would be the cultural.
नेपाललाई आउने जडीबुटी खाने यहाँ अर्गानिक खाने थकाली खाना खाने.
Solution is to come to Nepal.
Solution is come to Nepal. So
food.
Everybody buy a ticket to Nepal.
Yeah. Reach out to me.
Yeah, and reach out to him, absolutely. So the next question, the cultural thing you have here, your culture in Mustang is different from Pokhara, from different places in Nepal. I was told, I don't know. So how big part has the cultural has in your happiness?
हैन जस्तै यहाँ मुस्ताङ गयो स्पेशल थकालीहरू तपाईहरुको यहाँ जुन रहन सहन छ
अर्गानिक आनन्द मिठो पनि
yeah he basically says like he couldn't speak in a comparison but this culture is what really has always made him happy and when he goes in like a lowland particularly in this urban environment he freaks out a bit he doesn't like it so I think like maybe they find their belongings there sense of belongings but his is here. He was raised here. He, every season he knows what to get from the forest. He can live with the forest, live for the forest. He can forage. He likes the language. He likes the food. He likes the mountains. He likes the nature. So he kind of said that he couldn't speak if it's just the culture because everyone has their connection to their own culture. But this one definitely makes him happy.
So his culture is actually based on nature.
Yeah.
Everything is nature.
प्रकृतिसँग धेरै नजिक छ नि थकाली कल्चर
धेरै नजिक छ धेरै नजिक छ किनभने अब हिमालको पाहाडमा काखमा छ घर गाउँ हैन बसोबास पनि त्यसै नजिक नि अब हेर्दा बित्तिकै उड्दा बित्तिकै हिमाल देख्न पाइयो हैन हरियाली जंगल देख्न पाइयो हिमाल हिमाल देख्न पाइयो भोलि अब बुगिहरू पाक्यो भने रातो हुन देखियो सबै त्यो फरक फरकको देखिन्छ नि त घरबाट उड्दा बित्तिकै त्यो भन्दा रमाइलो के चाहियो त्यही नै रमाइलो छ.
Yeah, definitely, because the culture here lives in the shadow of the mountains. Forest changes colors, the pasture changes colors. Hence, the culture definitely have strong elements of the nature because there's no other way around it. Because culture has to exist here, and the mountains are here, and the forests are here, so they are all part of each other.
Yeah. Okay. But what is the culture here? Compared to other, because I don't think people out there, they know about the culture of Mustang. Is it the co-living? Is it how is the family culture here?
Okay, let me put it right. यहाँ र जस्तै मानौ यहाँ र तलतिरको कल्चरहरुमा चाहिँ के फरक छ
त्यो सबभन्दा राम्रो मलाई समाज लाग्छ हाम्रै समाज
म भनिदिन्छु नि. Okay. So it was, to try to frame the question the right way. I think what he says is the culture here is obviously there's a lot of like physical attributes of the culture that looks very similar, and like what we may eat, is defined by our area, our weather, our things. One thing that he really likes about Thakali culture here in Mustang is that how the community works for each other, unlike the urban environments particularly, how they can help each other. They also have in a village, they have a sort of a community where they, if anyone gets sick and they don't have money, the whole village comes together and supports them. So the villagers kind of live as a support to each other. Obviously, there's difference in food and languages and a few of the rituals, but I think what he is implying to say is those things, societies don't have control in. It changes according to where, regions and things, the rituals, and the behaviors. But the core functionality as a society is quite strong here. And that's what makes this place really special, is that it's not just a layer of Thakali culture, but as a humans, how they live in the society by looking after each other. And that's what makes it a very special place. And that's what I think also he kind of pointed out, that he struggles with the urban environment and the more industrialized places where, you don't have that connections with each other. So the human connection is what makes it really special in this village. He kind of mentioned that, he couldn't speak on the behalf of the whole region, but in this area,
of course. So the human connection is one of the next thing that makes him happy.
Yeah.
So nature and the human connection.
प्रकृति र मान्छे त हो त्यही अरु केही छ त
केही छैन प्रकृति मान्छे यहाँको रहन सहन सबै ठिक छ मलाई
So that's pretty much.
I remember one of the team member yesterday asked them about the gender, how they work in the kitchen, who, was it you and your wife? And then your wife said, you're the guy in the kitchen that makes all the dinner and it's not typical.
के अरे अब जस्तो घरमा तपाईँ नि खाना पकाउनु जानेको त हुन्छ नि सरमान्छे it says like traditionally it's in the women in the kitchen, but he often likes to, he's been cooking a lot, so he likes to support. It doesn't mean that necessarily men don't cook. Like, for example, the tea house we're here, Mahesh, he helps out in the kitchen often. You'll see him cooking.
I have noticed.
Cooking with his, so if women are busy, men will obviously come and help out. Yeah. Just like,
that's something I have noticed. So that's why I ask. It's very...
खेतमा नि त जस्तो तपाईको धेरै काम भयो भने भाउजू आएर गर्नुहुन्छ
हैन हामीले उही पकाउन लान्छ खेतमा जस्तै हामीले अलि मान्छे बढी हाल्यो भने सबै बोकेर लग्यो उही खेतमा पकाएर दिन्छ
हैन पकाउने मात्रै कुरा हैन जस्तै खेतमा तपाई काम गर्न जानुभयो काम धेरै छ नि त भाउजू आएर गर्नुहुन्छ नि त म त्यही कुरा भन्छु उलाई मिलाएर हैन so yeah it's like while the sort of roles are there, like women's are mostly looking after the kitchen while men are working in the farm, while those traditional norms are there, it's not restrictive. So like, he comes out and helps out in the kitchen. His wife likes his cooking better than herself. So he often finds himself in the kitchen more, but also it goes the other way around. Like, if it's a big day in the field and there's a lot to do, you'll find his wife, most Thakali wives there working with their husbands too. Yeah. So it's not that like a straightforward.
No.
Yeah.
It's very nice. It's like a kindness when you look, how we have seen them here in the house, and we saw you yesterday in the kitchen. It's kind of kindness between everybody helping each other if it's necessary. So it's actually a part of the culture here, and I have been experiencing it in the whole Nepal actually. No. So it's nice.
So I told him that, and I also added my experience to him about me living in New Zealand. I bought a house. I'm living in this house in a neighborhood from last 3 years. I bought it 3 years ago, and luckily I know one neighbor. She's a retired woman, Rhonda. I talked to her, but I have absolutely no idea who lives in my house across and house next door still today in 3 years.
Yeah.
That's how everyone's busy, and I've never seen them, some of them. So that's why I was telling him. the experience of, and he just said is like, yeah, he would absolutely dread living in that kind of society. Here, what they call as what they use the word is morda porda, means like when you need or when you're dead, you need people. When you need something, or even when you're dead, you need people to lift your body. So that's why everyone's important around him, and they ensure that they prioritize this kindness and they look after each other.
That's nice.
Yeah, because that's the thing, the foundation of everything.
Yeah,
other people. Yeah,
that's true. So I would like to thank you for opening your doors for us last night and give us the very nice food experience. It's going to be a separate video. We are going to show how you made a very nice dinner and it tasted fantastic. The best tablet we have ever tasted in Nepal. Whole Nepal.
नेपालसँग मिठो खाना हिजो खानु पर्यो, त्यसको लागि एकदम धन्यवाद। घर पनि पुरा ढोका खोलेर हामीलाई भित्र छिराएर मजाले राखेर खुवाउनुभयो। त्यो जति रमाइलो केही भएको थिएन नेपालमा चाहिँ।
So if you are around Tukche, come and visit him. He is the guy and he's going to take us up the mountain and contact him. Absolutely. He is a fantastic guide and he has a very big wisdom about everything.
Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So at the end, before we said goodbye, what is the best advice you can give us about happiness?
So खुसी हुनको लागि त्यही भनौँ है। His advice is eat healthy, be close to the nature, and look after people, be kind. You don't need to you can be kind, you can be soft spoken, you can think before you speak. You just need to be kind to the people around you, and that's to sort you out. That's how it works.
It's fantastic. Thank you very much. And that is this episode from Tukche. I'm looking forward to come back again. I will put your name and your information in the comments, and some of your information I'm putting in. Maybe some other clients will come and visit you. Thank you from here and namaste.
Namaste.
Thank you. I thank you for joining me on this journey to explore happiness and fulfillment in all its forms, in business and in personal life. I hope these stories and insights inspire you to view your own path with fresh perspectives. Stay curious, keep pushing forward, and come back next time as we dive even deeper into what it means to live fully and consciously. Until then, embrace what empowers you. Pursue what fulfills you. And remember, true happiness starts within. Thank you for joining me on this journey to explore happiness and fulfillment in all its forms, in business and in personal life. I hope these stories and insights inspire you to view your own path with fresh perspectives. Stay curious, keep pushing forward, and come back next time as we dive even deeper into what it means to live fully and consciously. Until then, embrace what empowers you. Pursue what fulfills you. And remember, true happiness starts within.